Welcome back to the channel. We're going to continue on with Forlorn Hope with rifles. So Rifles was, I believe it's the first song they put out. It's definitely the first song of theirs I heard. And this song is just, this is brilliant. It's the first song on the track, apart from the introduction, which is Over the Hills and Far Away, an instrumental sort of thing. They actually have John Tam's version of Over the Hills and Far Away, which is the one from Sharp, which I might do a video on just because I love that song. Is just such a great song, even as a folk song. And I'm so glad they got the license to cover that from John Tam's version. So the Rifles is obviously about the 95th Rifles, formed 1803. 1803, yeah. I'm assuming everybody knows what a British rifleman is, but we'll go into it.
See them array who have come to this place. The challenge is written on every face. High on his horse, the general stands tall. He's safe at his range, there's no danger at all.
I wonder what's going to happen.
Crack sounds the shots, the bright spray of blood. The general falls and he dies in the mud. Fear starts to spread among the rank and file, while out in the field a rifleman smiles.
Okay, there's a few places that could be talking about. And the two that come to my mind are Corunna, on the retreat to Corunna, 1807, Sir Thomas More, who's tragically killed, but it's Rifleman Plunkett takes like a 300 or 400 meter shot, kills a French general, and then kills his aide. He does it on his back. I'll put a picture up here. It's called the Plunkett position. He does it on his back, with his foot in the sling. Takes a long-range shot. I believe he wrote a memoir through an officer, but I've not had a chance to read it. The other story I know of this happening, like as in a guaranteed certain happening, is at La Haye-Sainte at Waterloo. Rifleman Lindemann, Rifleman Lindemann is on the roof of the farmhouse of La Haye-Sainte. There is a French battalion coming on towards the back garden, and he kills the colonel, not a general, but a colonel. And that breaks up the battalion's advance, and they fall back. So yes, a rifleman's bullet, well placed, can topple a commander. And that's not even going back to the things like the American Revolution, where you have these riflemen, which is a whole different thing. These are government trained, issued with Baker rifles, top-notch guys who are trained to go to senior command elements like that. And yeah, they're very, very good at it.
What can you do? Green Jacket's coming for you.
There's not much you can do.
Into the fray. Green Jacket's making them pay. And here's our big cheer for the 19th.
This is the rifle motto.
First in the field and the last from the fray.
That was their motto.
Precision achieving their mission. Raise your fist. 95th.
So yes, the 95th was the Grasshoppers, they called them. They were nicknamed the Grasshoppers, which they just scuttle around in their green jackets, armed with the Baker rifle, the 1800 patent Baker rifle, I think, but it's just Baker. Formed in 1803 I should know this. They were formed in the light infantry. There were two other light infantry trained up with the 95th Rifles. There were 43rd and the 52nd and the 43rd. Let's see if I'm right. There were two other battalions turned into light infantry. I was talking to Jim Oriskany. I'm not sure what his name is on YouTube. He's in the comments in quite a few of my videos. I was talking to Jim about grenadier battalions in the American War of Independence, and how the British they did basically the same thing in forming these light battalions. Now people hear light infantry and they think skirmishers, which is true, that's what they are. But they're also grenadiers, essentially. They're also shock troops. You send light infantry, and the light division in Spain is very famous. You send the light division, the light infantry in grenadier-like tasks. So the grenadier company is always your first go-to, but the light company are also just as good. They can assault positions, they can breach defenses, they can do lead assaults. A light infantryman often gets a reputation as sort of like a flighty type, bounce off skirmisher type thing, which they were, but they were also perfectly capable of acting as a grenadier when they had to.
Men of the light, the British elite, quick with their rifles and quick
That's probably the one thing they weren't. They weren't really quick with the rifles. Although in saying that, British Muzzleloader has done the world a enormous service. British Muzzleloader is one of the best channels on YouTube. He takes a very scientific approach to firearms. He's very good. He's just done a Brown Burst versus Baker rifle comparison video. I actually just watched it a couple of hours ago. The Brown Burst is faster. That's the standard musket. Is faster. However, not by much if you're just using the Baker rifle in the same way. So if you fire just random loose ball in a Brown Bess, it'll fire at the same rate as a loose ball in a Baker rifle. The way the Baker fires slower is with patched balls, and there's different type of patched balls which he goes into in the video. But essentially, if you're using it as a rifle, it's slow. If you're using it as a musket, it's the same as any other musket. And games like Sharp Practice will actually include this, with things like tap loading or something like that. Don't tap load, by the way. Tap loading is not a smart idea. You'll blow your head off. Okay, so what tap loading is you put powder in the pan, close it, half cock, put the rifle on the ground, pour powder in, put the ball in your mouth, and then spit the ball down. Well, you put the ball in your mouth, and anyway. Basically, you put your head over the thing and spit down the musket, which is a bad idea. You blow your head off. 800 people doing that 30, 40, 50 times. You had 60 rounds, so someone's going to get hurt. And then you have the thing of I'll take it out and put it in the thing, but then you're defeating the purpose. Anyway, don't tap load rifles. It's dangerous. 200 yards would actually be quite close range for a rifleman. Or mid-range, mid-range. They can shoot well up to 4. Maybe the 95th aren't the only rifle regiment they're the only rifle regiment in Spain. They're not the only rifle battalion. The 5th 60th, the 5th Battalion, 60th Royal Americans, who are not Americans. They're called the Royal Americans because they were founded in the French-Indian War from Americans in America. That was the 13 colonies in the Americas. But by this point, they're British. Some of them might be loyalist descendants, but they're British at this point. The 5th 60th, the 5th Battalion of the 60th Royal American Regiment were riflemen. They were 2 companies per division, I want to say. Yes, I want to say 2 companies per division. So, a division of 3 or 4 brigades, which would have 2 or 3 infantry each. So you're talking about 6 to 8 battalions, each made up of 60 to 80 companies, plus 2 companies of the 60th. So yes, never forget about the 60th. They always get overlooked, but they're very important. They're the ones with red facing, as opposed to black. You see them in Sharp. They're Fredericton's men. Most of Sharp is actually about the 60th. Only the Forlorn Hope, only the Chosen Men are really the core of the 95th. Most of them are the 60th. The Germans had their own as well. The King's German Legion had their own riflemen. Most of the King's German Legion light battalions had a light company that was rifles, I believe. But don't quote me on that. They had a company that was riflemen. A battalion. The British would keep rifles well into the Sudan. I think they still exist today, technically. Obviously, by the time of the Sudan, they're using Martini Henrys, which are rifled anyway, with that Henry weird hexagon twist rifling. But they were still had rifle regiments with different uniforms and with blackened leather and all that sort of stuff. So they kept the tradition going up until at least the Sudan is the last time I know of them having different uniforms, possibly in World War One, possibly into South Africa as well. But I just don't know that far. So yes, the rifles did continue, and as far as I know, they continue today, although they're a brigade, not a battalion or a regiment. Holy Jesus, late. 95th. And then just goes on from there. So, Forlorn Hope is a fantastic band. I love that they've got a song just called Rifles about the 95th. the 95th is obviously very famous because of Bernard Cornwell and the Sharp books, but the 95th was quite famous before Bernard Cornwell anyway. They were quite famous. Their actions at Copenhagen. People always forget about Copenhagen, whatever. The British wanted the Danish the Danish fleet. The British wanted the Danish fleet in 1807. The Danish said no, so the British started shelling the absolute crap out of Copenhagen. There's a relief army coming in. That Wellington hit it. Anyway, was it Wellington? Yeah, I think it was Wellington. No, it might not have been. Anyway, they'd seen action beforehand. So Thomas More actually was the one who basically founded the Light Infantry School. So Thomas More was the overall British commander in Spain and Portugal. He probably would have been the British commander in Spain and Portugal if it wasn't for his death. He died during the retreat to Corunna, where the British army basically escaped from Spain and Portugal the first time. Remember, the British campaign in Spain and Portugal was the second attempt. So Sidney Smith came along and whisked the royal family of Portugal off to the colonies, because that man gets everywhere. And so Thomas More was basically the guy who sort of took the action on the ground. I'm not sure if he was the one who had the ideas. History's very muddled when it comes to who had the really cool idea to start with. At least pre-World War II history is very unclear about that. Once we get into World War II, people are writing very detailed memoirs, and they're having video interviews, and you can sort of cross-reference their stuff with so many other people's stuff that you can sort of get a good idea of where ideas come from. But at this point, all we can say is that Thomas More was the one who is responsible for the 95th existing in their current purpose, in their current state, sorry. And so he was tragically killed at Corunna, which allowed Sir Arthur Wellesley to take command. Even though he's very young, Sir Arthur Wellesley is often pictured as like a guy in his 50s. I believe he would have been late 30s, early 40s. I think late 30s, early 40s. Anyway, that's wildly off topic. Sorry, it's very late. I'll wrap this up now. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more Forlorn Hope videos, check out my channel, and then also go and check out Forlorn Hope. Go and grab the album. They're not in any way affiliated with this whatsoever. I'm just just commenting on their stuff because I think it's amazing, and I think it's a good opportunity to learn about the Napoleonic Wars, even if this video was more of just an homage to rather than an educating experience. So thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day.